My name is Sara Mitchell, and in my family, I was the difficult one, the one who asked too many questions, the one who noticed things nobody wanted noticed, the one who couldn't just let it go, and smile, and pass the potato salad. Like everything was fine. Everything was not fine, but I smiled anyway. For years, I smiled anyway, because that's what you do when the room is watching, and the room is always watching. I learned that early. Keep your face right. Keep your voice low. Don't give them anything to use. But here's what took me years to understand. My mother wasn't the only one who hurt me. She had a room full of witnesses, and every single one of them chose the casserole. Have you ever been the person in your family that everyone had a quiet explanation for? Not the villain, not even a real problem, just inconvenient. The one they whispered about on the way to the car, the one they prayed for at the dinner table out loud while they passed the bread. That was me. For 31 years. That was me. My mother's name is Linda, and Linda is the kind of woman who makes people feel lucky just to know her. She walks into a room, and the temperature changes. She remembers your birthday. She brings good wine. She laughs loudly, and she means it. And she made my life very small, very quietly, for a very long time. Nothing she did was dramatic. No bruises, no screaming, just a slow, steady drip of, "You're too sensitive. You always misremember. That's not what happened. I don't know why you're like this. I don't know what I did to deserve this from you." That last one was her favorite, because it flipped everything. Suddenly I wasn't the one being hurt. I was the one doing the hurting. And the room full of aunts, the cousins, the family friends, they saw it. My Aunt Carol saw it. My cousin Ashley saw it. My mother's best friend Diane, who has been sitting at our kitchen table since 1987, she saw it. They all saw it. And then they came to Sunday dinner. Have you ever had someone pull you aside, look you dead in the eye, say, "I know, honey, I see it," and then walk back through that door like that conversation never happened? That's a different kind of wound, because at least an enemy is standing across from you. You can see an enemy coming. These people were standing right beside me, with their arms around my mother's shoulder, telling her she was the one who needed support. That's not love. That's choosing comfort over truth. And I had to learn. Those are not the same thing. I didn't blow up. I know that might surprise you, because everything in me wanted to. Every holiday dinner, where Linda rewrote history, every phone call, where Aunt Carol told me to just be the bigger person, every time Diane said, "Your mother loves you, you know she does." I wanted to flip the table. I didn't. I got quiet instead, and I got organized. I started writing things down, not to be dramatic, just to trust myself. Because when you spend long enough being told you misremember, you start to wonder if you do. Think about what that does to a person. Think about waking up every morning and not being able to trust your own memory of the day before. That's not an accident. That's a strategy. So I wrote it down. Dates, conversations, the exact words, every single time. And then I stopped performing for the audience. Think about that for a second. How much energy goes into managing how a room full of people sees you, fighting to be understood, explaining yourself, sending the long text, then the follow-up text, then the apology for the first text. I stopped all of it. I let them think what they wanted. And I started building something quieter, something they couldn't reach, a life that didn't need their approval to stand. I went back to school. I got my own place. I stopped answering calls. That always ended with me apologizing for something I didn't do. And I started watching. The thing about silence, real silence, is that it makes other people loud. When I stopped defending myself, stopped explaining, stopped showing up to be the person everyone could point at, the family didn't know what to do. Linda started calling more, not to apologize, to check on the narrative. Aunt Carol started texting, little things, just checking in, "Sweetheart," which really meant, "Why aren't you where I can see you?" And Diane started asking Ashley where I was and what I was doing, because a woman who is no longer reacting is a woman they can no longer control. And that terrified them more than anything I ever said out loud. There was one night, I won't pretend it didn't happen, One night I sat on the floor of my apartment, and I almost called Linda back. Not because I forgave her, because I was tired, because being strong gets heavy in the dark, because part of me still wanted my mother to just be my mother. I sat with that for a long time, and then I didn't call. I wrote it down instead, and I kept going. Then something shifted. Ashley called me, not to relay a message, not to tell me what my mother needed, just to talk. And somewhere in that conversation, she went still for a second, and then she said, "Sara, I think I've been carrying messages for someone who never deserved loyalty." That was the first real thing anyone in that family had said to me in years. I didn't cry on the phone. I waited until I hung up, and then I finally did. There was one woman who never wavered. Her name is Ms. Helen. She was my mother's neighbor for 20 years. She watched me grow up through that window. She sat on that porch, and she saw everything, the version of Linda that the Sunday dinner crowd never saw. She didn't come to family events. She didn't play both sides. She didn't pull me aside to whisper, "I know, honey," and then go back inside. She just told the truth every time someone asked her. And people started asking, because when I got quiet, when I stopped being the problem everyone could discuss, the cracks in Linda's story got harder to paper over. The performance got more expensive to keep up, and slowly, one by one, the people who had built their understanding of our family around Linda's version started noticing things didn't add up. Ms. Helen was already on record. I didn't stand up in a room and expose anyone. I didn't send an email. I didn't make a single post. I just let time do what I couldn't. Linda had built her whole identity around being the wronged mother, the woman with the difficult daughter, and that story needs a live audience to survive. The audience was shrinking. Aunt Carol called me one afternoon. She was crying before she even said hello. She didn't ask for forgiveness right away. She just said, "I made it easier for her to do what she did to you, and I am so sorry." I'd imagined that moment for years. I thought I'd feel triumphant. I just felt hollow and tired and relieved and very, very done. That was enough. For now, that was enough. Linda is still Linda. She didn't transform. She didn't have a breakdown. She didn't become the villain in a scene people rewind to watch. She just became smaller. The room she used to fill, she fills it a little less now. Some of the family drifted, not dramatically, just quietly, the way people do when the version of the story they believed stops holding together. Diane is still loyal, and I've made peace with that. Some people need the story more than they need the truth. That's not my burden anymore. I used to grieve that. I used to think I could make them see. I don't think that anymore. But Ashley is here. Ms. Helen is here. And I'm here, standing in a life I built while everyone was waiting for me to fall apart. My name is Sara Mitchell. I was the difficult one. And I am completely fine. If any part of this story lived somewhere in your chest, I want you to think about who in your life needs to hear that they're not crazy, not imagining it, not too sensitive, not the problem. Send this to them. Not for me, for them. Do you have someone in your life who always saw your truth, but never had a reason to say it out loud yet? Hold on to that person. They're worth more than the whole room that stayed quiet. And if you've been carrying messages for someone who never earned your loyalty, I want to know. Drop it in the comments. Tell me what finally made you put those messages down. I read every single one. More stories are coming, because there are more of us than they'd like to believe. And we are done being quiet about it. Not one single more day. Silence was never neutral. It just had better manners than the damage it allowed.